Hi YouTube friends, it's good to see you again. We've had a rainy week this week and I've been indoors a lot and the highs have been only like 75, 76 and it feels like fall outside a little bit. So I'm all happy and celebrating even though I know we have a lot of hot weather to go. But I thought today I would give a little catch-up video for you on what I've been up to. A lot of the same stuff. So I'll post a little bit of footage now about my weave that I'm working on. And I'm getting close to the end. I'm really enjoying this clasped weft pattern. I haven't done it in a while and I'm kind of trying to recoup my skills. But that's going to be a pretty scarf and I've decided I really love working with bamboo. In addition, I've been getting back on my spinning wheel. I still have this huge bag of sheep's wool that's been cleaned that I am working on hand carding. So here's a little bit of footage where I've really developed my hand carding skills a little bit more, as long as I don't knock over the camera. but that's been a lot of fun. And it's really a great way of getting a little bit of fleece prepared for a little bit of spinning. It's not a huge commitment. You can do one little row lag at a time, or you can do 4 or 6 row lags at a time. Then I also got back to spinning on my spinning wheel, and I'm going to accumulate a lot of this chain plied wool, all this off-white, and I'm going to get a lot of it and then decide what I'm going to do with it. I'm thinking about weaving some really loose weave curtains. I don't know where I'm going to put them yet, and I want a nice kind of a gauzy look. And it's fairly thin since it's just 3-plied. And my spinning mentor friend did some of these herself on her bedroom window, and they are just lovely. So I think I'm going to give that a shot. And then the other day, my good friend Mary made some mention of the fact that I was a writer. I was like, a writer? I haven't written anything in quite a while, which is true. I used to write, I've written a lot of different things, most of it not any good. I've written mostly children's books. I have a couple of chapter books and I have some picture books. Anyway, so one thing I've needed to do, and I'm going to share with you some of this old stuff. One thing I've needed to do is redo 3 of my children's books. These are picture books. So when I started painting, I thought it was easy to come up with a story. I can come up with a story in my head in, 15 minutes if it's a simple story, or half hour if it's a little longer for children. And so I came up with these little stories, and then I decided I would paint the illustrations and I would make a little children's book. And I didn't know what I was doing. So anyway, and so I did them up. I wrote the text by hand, and this is the first one, Pumpkin and the Littlest Mouse. And so here's Pumpkin. Pumpkin's a real chicken I used to have, and this is Ethel or Lucy. They were both barred rocks. I could never tell them apart. And I actually redid the cover because the cover was terrible and plain. And it's on watercolor paper, and then it wasn't long enough, so I taped some at the bottom. It's just terrible, terrible as far as how it's done. But it is cute. I love the spider hanging down there. It's very Charlotte's Web. Anyway, I got some of these printed at my printers in New Bern. But watercolors are very pale, and so they were kind of pale. So I went back and redid. I repainted a lot of these, or I touched them up with more pigment. And so I've got Bernie the Rooster down here. And this is a story of Pumpkin, who is a very quiet and shy and small hen that the other hens don't like. She really stays in the coop all the time. And she doesn't hang out with her her hen friends very much. But she meets a little teeny baby mouse, and the little mouse kind of becomes her child, and she protects the baby mouse from a big rat. And then later she protects the baby mouse from a snake that hides in the cinder blocks. Anyway, but this is a good example of what I did. I would paint and then I would write the text in with the illustrations. Sometimes they come really close to the illustrations and touch the illustrations. This is a terrible thing to do, and because no children's book person who prints these wants to mess with that. But they're fun stories. This one's, I reread them now, and I haven't read them in a long time. Oh, this is cute. Pumpkin and Littlest Mouse have little tea parties with acorn cups and layer pellets and leaves. It's really cute. And she tells her bedtime stories. So the littlest mouse, the pumpkin book, is cute. But upon rereading so this was done in 2017, so it's been 4 years since I did that one. And then I guess the next year, so maybe 2018, I did the next two. I don't really know. My favorite one is definitely, got a Facebook message from a friend recently that reminded me of this story. I'd kind of forgotten. And it's a favorite. She bought one of my copies. It's called The Thanksgiving Mice. And I actually read this to a second grade class sometime a couple of years ago before COVID. And this is a cute story. This is one of those stories that appeals to both the child and the parent, or whatever adult is reading the story. It's just cute. This is about a farm, and there's a farm wife and there's a farm husband. We don't get their names, but we get the names of the mice family. There's a mother and a daddy mouse and three little mouselings. And anyway, it's about how Mrs. Mouse, this is Mrs. Mouse, how she contrives to really deprive the farm family of their Thanksgiving dinner so that she can have it for her own extended mouse family. We're talking dozens of mice that come over. And it's just hilarious. I mean, it is rather sad what she and her children and her husband do to the humans to make them lose their minds on Thanksgiving morning as they're trying to cook all this stuff and take it to a family Thanksgiving meal. And so in the end, the mice get everything except for the sour cranberries. It's really, really very funny. But again, oh goodness. I mean, I didn't think it through. I was just having fun. It's like on the first page, I have some mice and some miscellaneous Thanksgiving things, and then I just launch into the story, and there's the wife in her kitchen. There are times when it really is quite fun. But yeah, I mean, there's just, too much text on a page and too close to the illustrations. So here's the cat. Cat doesn't like the mice. No mouse shall come near. At one point, I read parts of the pumpkin book, maybe this one too, on a little YouTube, but I didn't know what I was doing back then. I think the camera went dead before I finished. Anyway, the text is great. The stories are fun, especially with this one. The story is great here. I need to redo all the illustrations, and I want to do it in landscape format, so you have one of those books. Oh, here, let me show you one. This is a children's book in landscape format. I used to collect Tasha Tudor books, and I still have all of them because I love her. But this is, you see, and I looked online and they recommend this for children because this kind of book is easier to hold on your lap or on a table in front of you. And because it's so wide, the child and the parent can kind of see more of everything. You can kind of peek around and see the book easier over your child's head or whatever. Or if you have a couple of children looking, it's just a better format for reading to someone. So if you have a book that it's meant to be read to a child, which my books are, then it's better to have a landscape format. I have two older children's books kind of intended for mid-elementary, and they would both be in portrait which is your usual upright book. So I have to repaint the illustrations for this book and for this book eventually. And then I wrote a third book that needs a little rewriting. The opening especially is rough. They're stupid little stories about animals. This is called The Rescue of William Shrew. He's a little shrew, not a mole, not a mouse. He's very defensive about what he is in the story. He gets flooded out of his adorable little shrew home, his little burrow. He gets flooded out because, of course, he lives here in eastern North Carolina, and a big storm comes through, and he has to leave his burrow in a hurry, and his wife and babies were in there. He doesn't know if they survived. Finally, he meets up with some very scary squirrels. But finally, he gets back to kind of a place of refuge. Adam gave me the idea for this name. It's the Nutmeg Tavern. Isn't that great? And it's in a big pine tree out in the pasture, which we actually have. But these are all locations at our farm. And he goes in, and this is the part I like the most of this story. These are the illustrations I enjoy the most. It's all very old English tavern in there, and there's big trays full of food. These illustrations, they're small. They might be redeemable. I really don't know if I got a really good image of them. Here's poor William. He's crying in distress. He's very wet. And then finally he finds the little part of the tavern that's just, it's called the tail's end. No, the tail end, excuse me. The tail end. And it's just for the little animals. Small animals, welcome. So no big squirrels in there. And so he goes in and sits by the fire. But eventually, the animals there, Mrs. Burrow and Captain Burrow, who's such a hero, they come and help him, and they go, here's Captain Burrow. I really like this illustration a lot. And he gets in his ship. He has a ship that sails when there's floodwaters around. Don't even ask. I don't know how that would work. And they go and they rescue. Here's William in rain gear that's too big for him, heading out. Oh, this is my favorite. Wait, I can't see. This says, no dart games during fledgling flight practice. It's little things like that I think appeal to the adults. Anyway, they go rescue the babies, and they go rescue, and Captain Burrow rescues Winnie on his ship. And then, of course, William Shrew has to go out on his own to look for his family, and he nearly gets eaten by the big cat, or the cat queen. And so then Captain Burrow has to go out and rescue William himself, of course. And they bring him back home. And William and Winnie and the three babies rest in front of the fire for a long time, I think, and then go rebuild their house. Anyway, I don't know. I have to do this for myself and not for any hope of publication, because honestly, there's so many children's books out there, and I don't know if these are any good, if anybody's going to do anything with them. So I have to do it because I love it. The stories, as you can tell, I still giggle when I look at the stories because I find them rather hilarious, which is probably embarrassing. But anyway, I think I will redo that, because I don't think I'm going to get any more of these printed. They're just not good quality enough. And I want a book that's really, really easily readable to your child. And if I could get 3 of them done well, with good illustrations that are in landscape mode, then maybe we'll get some of that done. So I just started on that this morning, and I started redoing the first illustration for the Thanksgiving mice, and I just messed it up. So I'm gonna have to start over again, which is okay. Life is all about, isn't life all about starting over? I really haven't written anything I haven't found myself able to write anything in 2 or 2.5 years. For a while there, I was also really not able to read. I couldn't finish a book, which was very distressing, because I'm a very reading, writing, literary, bookish person. And sometimes you go through struggles, trials, heartaches in your life. that are severe enough that they remove creative ability. For those of you who are creative out there, I know that you, some of you have experienced this, and it takes a long time for whatever it is inside of you that's creative. It takes a long time for that to heal. Sometimes it never does. So I'm not writing again at this point yet, but I'm able to paint. And so I thought, you know, the stories are already written, so why not go ahead and start on the repainting? That'll take me a long time. Plus, I'm not going to the farmer's market right now, and so I'm not selling any cards really. And I have a lot of cards, and because I've kind of lost my mojo for painting cards. But I think that I could get into a project of repainting these books. So we'll see. I'll keep you posted on that. That's pretty much what I'm up to. I'll end with a little video of spinning, and I'll get back to you soon. I want to do the next video on what Adam has been up to in his projects, so I'll fill you in on that too. Thanks for joining me. Bye-bye. I have to get a little video of some of the prettier things in my yard. Not everything is prettier, but these are some elephant ears that are just looking so good. Every year I wonder if they're coming back, and then they do. These are my hydrangeas, and for 3 or 4 years they just didn't do anything. They didn't bloom or anything, and now they're finally starting to come into their own. I'm quite excited about how pretty they are. Look at that. Now this is junk in the middle. We need to cut that out again. There's a rose bush in there that I don't like. And there's some crepe myrtle that is trying to come out. I don't like it either. But here's the other hydrangea. And if we could cut this out, then the hydrangea would have plenty of room. Okay. And then the rest of this bed down here is mostly junk. I'm going to dig it out, and I'm going to put 2 new forsythia in there that I'm potting.